Average Joe travels the California Inscape. Season 7, Dummies, Dolls, and Detectives. Episode 6, The Revelation of Rackseed. Story conceived and written by Penguin Pete. Featuring the vocal stylings of This Is Signal, with Asher Ephraim as Spanky, and the Inscape theme by Ignore That Door. It was Monday morning, after a well-earned weekend of rest. We were headed to a hospital which operated as an off-site site to the CIA, a facility at Agent Cooper's disposal. This was the hospital, we learned, where Rackseed was being kept. It was also the one to which they had whisked Muriel the Magnificent, he of the wand issues, after his dummy pummeling. Anne, who had luckily only suffered a shoulder wound when Bugsy's bullet had grazed her, had spent a day recovering in a local emergency ward, sporting a couple of fresh stitches. Her first words after the anesthesia wore off were,
"I don't give a damn if I am scarred. I am wearing a swimsuit to the beach if it kills me. Kills me! If I have to crawl there with a gurney, dragging an intravenous line."
Truly, Anne had helped herself upon getting back to Agent Cooper's limo, where she had left her purse. From there, she had produced some herbs and tonic she mixed up to dress her wound and have some juice left over to knock back like a shot. Of course, she is a whiz at apothecary. She even has a neat little rig which looks like a makeup kit, but opens to a tiny cauldron on one side and a mortar and pestle set on the other, impressively engineered in Denmark, and a gift from Lucretia. That Sunday we did indeed have time to stay at the beach, though our fun was somewhat stifled by the ring of black-suited security guards Agent Cooper had escorting us everywhere. Anne was uncharacteristically silent, slurping an incredible lineup of margaritas for the evening, but maintaining, somehow, an owlish sobriety. Spanky and I were both shaken to see Anne get tagged, too. Normally, Anne is a tough cookie, and on a better day she might have not only dodged that bullet, but sent it back as a lump of molten lead. It went to show any of us could be caught off guard. Agent Cooper was almost penitent. For allowing a contracted talent to be wounded in the line of duty, Cooper had been chewed out by Agent Carter, who had taken advantage of his headquarters reassignment to get promoted over Cooper. Carter now worked just one level below the CIA's Office of Special Operations, Paranormal Subdivision, newly appointed head, James Jesus Angleton. Agent Cooper seemed to be torn as to whether Carter or Angleton was the worse promotion. The mad rocket scientist and would-be ventriloquist himself,
You meet one of those every day.
Jack Carson, was last reported as living in a new wilderness cabin headquarters in Montana. From there, agents verified later, he had mailed a manifesto, smeared with jelly stains and wrapped in random scraps of newspaper, to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. The screed cryptically expressed his anger at working circumstances. There on the beach, Cooper showed us Carson's jittery scrawled words. "No matter how genius I am, every man, either big or small, wants me to make war, war, war." Final iteration, all in capital letters. Carson resolved to live off the land, to never sell his skills to the military-industrial complex again. And Agent Cooper stated that they would monitor Carson's situation from afar, but let him be. I now regret recommending Mr. Carson to our MK Ultra program, especially since Miss Darkside's herbal hallucination recipe seems to have unpredicted side effects at larger doses. Mr. Carter developed his interest in ventriloquism immediately after.
Well, my gods! Agent Cooper, I didn't tell you to whip up gallons of this stuff and pour it down people's throats. What did you do to him?
I was not present, not being on the MK Ultra team myself. But we have top men looking into him.
Who?
Top men looking into him. They assure me he will be right as rain.
And you guys wonder why scientists get mad and quit. Yoo-hoo! Waiter! Let's try the spicy mango margarita next. And don't be shy with the tequila. I'm a wounded veteran. I've earned it.
Where's she putting them all?
Oh yes, the helicopter. We were landing at a secluded hospital and ward compound, and Agent Cooper assured us that we were mere minutes away from coming face to face with Raxide S. Anne squinted out the helicopter's bubble glass window and gasped that she could see someone's aura glowing right through the hospital building. She assumed this was Raxide. But hold on a moment. Let me rummage around for a flashback. Here we go. Yes. Just after the conclusion of our case at the Waterspew Overview Hotel.
Sisterhood of the Web, keepers of the sacred thread, before my mortal eyes do shed, the adversary we name in dread. Sisterhood of seeing eye, plead our adversary we spy. Upon your sapphire gaze we cry. In clarity, his secrets lie.
Do I have to say something? I don't even know why I'm here. We need a fifth for this ritual. Just sit there and concentrate. We're not summoning ghosts, are we? They might tamper with my speaker.
Shh, leave the chanting to the witches. They know the words.
Shh. The web pulls the threads of history towards our sight. The seeing eye shines her light upon the revelation. I am graced by the vision from the goddess Diana, the heavens recorder of births.
What happens now? Is she okay?
She's in a trance. She's possessed by Diana. Fun goddess. She was the dishiest gossip on Olympus. Sit tight. She'll snap out of it. Oh. I'm back. Bless the holy name of Diana and the Sisterhood of the Web and the Seeing Eye. And now, there's so much to unpack in that bundle of knowledge. So mote it be, sister. The one you seek has lived before this life in another flesh. He was the ancient warlord over these lands, a native born to the continent of America, sharing the blood of the Shoshone tribe, but ruling many other lands by force. He was known as Chief Black Cloud, for he mastered the art of controlling wind and dust storms. His conquest of the territories was brutal, and the ground ran red under his horses' hooves. Many tribes united to make war with him and stop his army, but Black Cloud not only defeated all comers, but he turned his gaze to the horizon where the settlers of the New World dared to set foot on what he came to regard as his land. Black Cloud's magic became even more powerful. He rode with his warriors to the west. There he came to a European settlement and sent swarms of locusts and fleas, spreading pestilence and famine, before sending his warriors in to slit the throats of every babe in every house. Black Cloud swore that he would make a permanent magic that would outlive him, so he could defeat the evil that Europe would bring to the West. He prepared his own death and sent his soul to be reincarnated. Okay, take a break, please. Slow down. You mean he didn't just plain old get reincarnated? He sent his soul? Like mailing a letter? Nobody can choose their birth, can they? Raksid possessed, likely even now possesses, the means to do just that. And he can do it over and over again. He preserves perfect memories from his past lives every time. So it must be possible somehow. Black Cloud was reborn into a wealthy family as Raksid Robertson. But his true name is that garbled, encrypted moniker by which we know him. He abused his family fortune to invest in all his various California investments and criminal pursuits, about half of which your agency has shut down. As for his name, it is how it is because he transcended humanity. He is something else now, something we may never find out, but he is not mortal.
So sometimes that's what you have to do to look up a guy's record. Most of them, however, are easy enough to find in a phone book. That night, after our seance broke up, Anne and Spanky helped put things away while I helped Roy into his coat to take him home. But, out of earshot from Anne, Lucretia appeared at my side to clamp a surprisingly firm hand on my arm.
Joseph, this Raksid knows of you and Anne, and is convinced he must end you in order to complete his plans. His power in the left-hand path is the mightiest I have ever witnessed. Anne is on the right-hand path, but her power is yet weak. Joseph, if you ever cross paths with Raksid, promise me that you and Anne will hold back from him. He can easily corrupt her path with his by using her own anger against her.
Well, of course. I should have no problem with that. I'm good at helping Anne keep her cool, and she isn't really an angry person by nature. It's not like she goes around taking bullets in the line of duty. Okay. Now we are all caught up.
Dr. Parkinson, you're wanted back in surgery. That was the wrong leg.
This hospital is not officially within U.S. government control or even technically on American soil. U.S. Census-designated area. You will never find it on any map. We keep our special cases here. Sometimes that may be an agent who needs to recover without a doctor bothering them with nosy questions, and sometimes...
Attention all units. Ward 9 is off limits and locked down until we get the apes contained.
Sometimes they're hard to explain? Exactly. This is it. Raksid's room.
So he's just sitting in there waiting for us to entertain him? I can see the aura all around him. He hasn't moved.
He's in a coma. Has been for years.
Paging Dr. Paisley. Your patient in Ward 4 is sitting on the ledge outside the window.
Now that I'm close to him, I'm getting butterflies. Let's get this over with. I want to see the wizard behind the curtain.
After you, Dorothy. And there he was, looking very mortal and ordinary on his crisp hospital linens. Raksid S. had a pasty complexion, coarse black hair, and malevolently defined eyebrows. When I looked closer, I could almost feel him watching me even though his eyes were closed. His face was fixed in a scowl, but with a slight grin flirting at the edges, as if deep in thought. Evil, amusing thought.
I can't believe it. After all this time, he's just been lying here?
He came under our attention over his years of racketeering, and as you note, his presence is most concentrated in Chatterskull Falls. But it seems he somehow knew we were observing him. Approximately 4 years ago, he came to this hospital, got to the front desk, offered ID, and collapsed on the floor without a word. He's been in a coma ever since. Aha! So he turned himself in. Couldn't take the pressure, I suppose.
No, that's not it. He's showing off. He planned for us to find him. He's showing us that he doesn't need a material body. His spirit roams untethered. If anything happens to this body, he can just reincarnate into another one and try again.
Mr. Raksid is a problem we don't know how to solve. but he has left behind evidence of his intentions to carry out some kind of plan against the U.S. government and reclaim the continent for himself. But listen, I'm going to leave you here and go grab a coffee. Since this hospital isn't even technically on American soil, it would be impossible to prosecute someone for murder here. If Raxid's machinery were to suddenly fail while I'm gone, I would wait outside until you were ready to leave, presumably after a suitable period of grieving. There would be no records. Goodbye for now. We were alone, with the man we had spent so much time seeking and now could not even question. I could swear I heard a disdainful chuckle escape his clamped lips. But I didn't feel that Cooper was inviting us to provide a tidy end to this case. I had a hunch like he was testing us. To be sure, Raxid did not impress me as the sort who would be mourned for. Anne, no, what are you doing?
Just a lock of hair from his head. We could have so much power over him. We could control his essence. If he ever came after us.
I got her leg. Joe, get her.
Anne was struggling to reach Raxid's prone form, while Spanky and I were struggling to hold her back. Something about her didn't look quite right.
We'd be stupid not to take this chance. This is the only time we may have.
We can't do it this way. Lucretia warned us if we take any hostile action against him, you'll be off the right-hand path. And Anne, that's your favorite path.
Hey, I don't need the right-hand path. There are many paths in magic. You don't have to stay in some constricting plan. That's just...
We'll fight Raxid fair and square. We don't need to stoop to his level. We'll beat him the average Joe way, which is above his level. I am the eternal. I am the hour. I am the eternal. I am the hour.
What the fuck is he doing? I can barely keep my feet.
Is something on fire? Where's the smoke coming from?
I am the hour that stretches at the edge of time. My destiny is inevitable. Raxid's magic blasted us with a powerful psychic storm, and the ordinary hospital room became the center of a swirling, invisible tornado. We finally gave up and reeled dizzily out of the room. Cooper, quietly sipping his black coffee while sitting on a bench in the hall, seemed not to have noticed anything unusual.
I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me in there. I just wanted it to end.
That wasn't you. That was Raxid trying to corrupt you. Lucretia said he might try that. And she was right. Cooper finished his business with us, including a hefty paycheck which, after splitting 3 ways, would mean we would not have to worry about cases for the rest of the month. But before we left the hospital, I made a point to fan through a few visitor logs at the front nurse's desk. Sure enough, Raxid had a regular visitor. Every Thursday. In her tightly looped handwriting, I beheld the signature of Zelda Wolfbane. That's a dramatic last name. Then again, so is Darkseid. As Cooper's limo smoothly drove us home, I elected not to share this detail with Anne. After what we'd been through, I didn't need to upset her further. Instead, I opted to address something else which had Anne's brain tied in knots for months. Something which I'd only just resolved myself. Anne, you remember the Wendigo I made friends with? Of course you remember it. You've been talking about it ever since. I figured out what he did to me.
He really did imbue you with a power, didn't he? Wendigos can do that if they take a liking to someone. But that also means it'll look for you again. Leaving a mark on you is how they can tell you're the same human. Well, what is it?
Nothing too useful, but I suppose I should tell you that I can smell the future. Right before the ventriloquist's dummy blew up, I smelt gasoline. Before Bugsy fired his gun, I smelt the gunpowder. At the beach, I could smell the next margarita you were going to have before you had ordered it.
Spell in the future? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
That's so useless. I guess it counts as a Wendigo's idea of a joke. God, I was worried it had done something damaging to you.
It's merely an average talent, but that's appropriate for an average Joe.
Yeah.